All right.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Super Podcast Action Committee, episode 112. Some weeks we have nothing to talk about, and we're kind of scrounging for topics, and other weeks there's just a bunch of stuff. Last week there was a bunch of stuff, and there's a bunch of cool stuff to talk about this week. But before we get to that, hello, everybody. Andrew here. With me is E. Zachary Knight. Hello, Zachary.
Hi. So how are you doing?
Not too bad. Bought Ace Ventura, not Ace Ventura. Ace
Ventura.
Phoenix Wright. Dual Destinies for the eShop only game for the 3DS, and Capcom's having a sale, so it's only $18. So I picked that up and been playing it for a day and quite enjoying it. Oops, don't want to do that with the viewfinder. There we go. Come on, Google. Play nice. Play nice. That's right. Good things you didn't get your hands on Twitch, isn't it, Google? But we'll talk about that later. So yeah, I finally finished Deus Ex: Human Revolution. Hey Nestor, and hey Dream Peppers 99. I finished Deus Ex: Human Revolution. Really enjoyed the game. It's got a it's got one of those moral choices at the end. It's like, how do you want to go out? You know, do you tell the absolute whole truth? Option A. Option B, do you tell the truth only spun this way? Do you tell the truth spun this way? Or do you blow everything up, killing everybody, and let the people decide and move on as they will? Well, since I am incredibly morally righteous, these things are never a problem for me. I always know what the correct answer is. But that doesn't stop me from save scumming and trying every option just to see what happens.
Yeah, so, that's true.
It's kind of nice that the game does that. It's really the very last thing. And it actually gives you a Deus Ex Machina achievement for doing all 4 endings, which I thought was kind of funny. It's nice that kind of stuff, the good ending, the bad ending, the whatever ending is, right at the end, so you don't have to play through the entire game just to see what the slightly different ending is. I might play through the game again because this director's cut has an audio commentary, and I'd be very interested to hear what the developers have to say. Beating the game also unlocked a documentary, which I thought was going to be this little 6-7 minute EPK style doc, but it was actually fairly involved 40-some minute documentary, and it was like 3 or 3:30 in the morning when I was watching. I'm like, oh my god, I thought it was going to be 6 minutes, but it was actually really good. Wow, I don't know how to pronounce your name. Dali Raikal 1, something like that. The topics we're going to discuss are, if you go to GamePolitics.com, I have them written on the right above the video, just in case you want a quick preview to what we'll be talking about over the next hour. So I was going to play Wonderful 101, which I've had for a while, but I haven't played yet. But then Capcom had its sale. I picked up Dual Destinies, and I'm playing that now. So, what about you? What any games this week?
This week, I've finally, the Towerfall Ascension update was released for the Ouya. I guess there was a 6-month exclusivity for consoles with Sony or something, because I don't know why he took so long to release this update on the Ouya otherwise. But it's basically a huge content update to the original Towerfall game. The original Towerfall game had like 6 or 7 different arenas, 4 characters, and that was really it. You just had 4 characters. You picked a level that you wanted to fight in, and you fought. And then it had some training levels. And but when he, after the massive success it was last year on the Ouya, he decided to update it and port it to the PC and the PlayStation. And he released a huge content, just a much bigger game for those, and called it Towerfall Ascension. And so he finally released that this week on Thursday, I think, or actually maybe it was just yesterday. I don't remember, but yeah. So I downloaded that and played it. I haven't unlocked any of the characters. There's 4 new characters, and each one of them requires a different way to unlock. And I'm one of those people that I just want to get the characters, so I actually looked it up online to see how to unlock these guys.
Mhm.
And some of them are pretty. You got to do a lot of stuff to find these guys. You know, like one of them, you have to play through every training level and find a yellow triangle to get, and then some of the other ones are just kind of, you know, you got to play through or battle in all the arenas before you can even get the chance to unlock one of them, and so it's kind of interesting. And then he introduced a quest mode where 1 or 2 players can visit, can go in each arena and just fight various groupings of monsters, and which is actually pretty fun. My son and I, we played for a little while, and then my wife and I did, and I played some on my own, and yeah, we combinations of the 3 of us, you know, myself alone, me and my wife, and me and my son, we managed to get the first. Trying to think how many quest levels there are, but we beat all of them except for this last one, and there's like 8 waves of monsters in there, and I've beaten 4 of them because it's like some of these can get really tough, just basically because they overwhelm you. Because every monster has a unique way of attacking you. Like there's little wormy things that as they crawl around the floor, they'll shoot briars, like thorns and stuff, and plant them where they are, and then continue moving on. Another monster is like this flying thing, and it shoots tornadoes at you, and just stuff like that. And so it's like you get you get a wide variety of monsters coming out at once, and it can get pretty overwhelming and kick your butt if you're not on your toes. And so this last one, yeah, I'm just kind of the 5th wave of monsters is just pretty overwhelming when I do it by myself, and my son wasn't too helpful when he played with me the other day, because he can hold his own in the arena and he can fight and stuff, but you know that's all, you know, the strategy and tactics you need to actually take out all these monsters is just a little above him, and so he just kind of helps. You know, it's like we beat one quest together, and I had 40 kills, so I killed 40 monsters. He killed 8, so that kind of shows you how much of a help he was. You know, yeah. But I think the biggest help was that he was cannon fodder for me. Like he attracted the attention of the other monsters and stuff, and allowed me to sneak up and shoot him from time to time. So yeah. Yeah, so I like playing with them, but you know.
Well, it reminds me in Monster Hunter Try for the Wii. I did a video where I kicked the Great Jaggy to death, and it only took me about 15 minutes because, well, actually it took me about 12 minutes because Cha-Cha, my little gremlin monster assistant guy, was there chucking bombs. So it was probably me barely assisting him. But, yeah. The person's name who I butchered in the comments a couple of minutes ago corrected me on the pronunciation. It's Delirical One, as in the Lyrical One. So, oops.
Okay.
I actually like that name, Delirical One. I think that's pretty cool. Sorry for butchering it. Anyway, so for those of you watching on YouTube, head over to GamePolitics.com to join us in the chat. We also are running a poll right now, but it will close in a couple of minutes. So if you still need to vote, do that now, because I'll be closing it soon. Any other interesting weekly tidbits you want to talk about before we get to the poll?
Let's see. I finally wrote my review of Toto Temple Deluxe for the Ouya. I got that one a few weeks back, and the Juicy Beast, the developers, were kind enough to send me a free game code for it. So so I finally got around to actually writing my review. So, if you check that out, it's over on Random Tower, and if you've got an Ouya, it's definitely a game I recommend getting, along with Towerfall. I think those are probably my top two recommendations if you've got an Ouya and you really like multiplayer games, or you just want something to play with friends when they're over. But yeah, those are my two big major recommendations for it. Everything else is just kind of whatever floats your boat, as far as really matters to me.
Mm-hmm. Delirical One asks, or I'm sorry, no, Dream Peppers 99 asks us, what do we think of the Mario Kart 8 DLC? Are you familiar with the Mario Kart 8 DLC that Nintendo announced this week?
Well, I know they had some kind of like Mercedes or something stupid like that deal, where they brought in some real cars. That's old news, but I
a lot of people. What do you think about that? It's free DLC. It's a co-sponsorship with Mercedes-Benz. There's 3 different types of kind of chibi-fied or super deformed, based on the real cars, but super deformed for the Mario Kart universe. They do kind of clash, but it's free. You don't have to. Get it. I don't have a problem with it, but I do know a couple of people it just rubs them the wrong way.
I don't know why. It just sure, it doesn't quite fit into the Mario Kart universe, but it's free DLC, and Nintendo probably got some cash out of the deal. Mercedes definitely paid them to stick some cars in there. And
I have to wonder how profitable that's going to be for Mercedes. Is there anyone going to be sitting there playing Mario Kart going, I got to buy me a Mercedes now? I wasn't going to buy one before, but damn it, after playing Mario Kart 8, now I'm buying a Mercedes-Benz.
Yeah, well, we know what you're talking about, Dream Pepper. That one just came.
We're getting there.
I remember that one. I gotta wonder, what the crossover demographic is there that Mercedes is.
43% of Mario Kart 8 players drive a Mercedes-Benz.
Because Mercedes is a fairly high-end car and a car brand. Yeah. All right, but moving on to the other stuff.
Earlier this week, Nintendo announced actual DLC packs for Mario Kart 8. One comes out in November. One comes out in May 2015. They're spreading out the loaf really thin. They want you talking about. I imagine they probably want to keep the game in the popular consciousness for a long time.
Fresh, yeah.
Yeah, not only to keep sales of the Wii U going, but also probably just to support Amiibo. Because that doesn't come out until probably after the first DLC pack. But anyway, each DLC pack, I'm doing this off the top of my head, so folks in the comments, feel free to correct me if I get any of this wrong. I think it's 3 or 4 new. I think it's 3 new characters per pack, 2 cups, and 4 tracks per cup, so 8 tracks total per pack. I believe it's something like that. So it costs, I believe, $8 or $9 per pack, or I'm forgetting where the 99 goes. So it's either $11.99 or $12.99. So it's $8 or $9 per pack, or $12 or $13 for both. And if you buy both, either separately or together, you get a bunch of color alteration. You get 8 different colors of Yoshi and 8 different colors of Shy Guy. So personally,
I knew about the Yoshis. I didn't know about the Shy Guys. That's cool.
Yeah. Personally, other than May 2015 being really far away, yeah, three characters and 8 tracks for each, right? So that's all the DLC. You get 6 new characters. You got 16 new tracks. That's a fair amount of content for $12. Thank you. For $12 if you buy both.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this before, but I think the important thing of post-launch DLC is you have to give the perception that this is something actually developed after the game, not something you yanked out of the game to sell to us later. And especially with Mario Kart coming out May 30th, the first paid DLC pack coming out the following November, and the second pack coming out May after that, it really feels, whether it's true or not, it really feels like something that Nintendo is additional content that they developed for us and is selling us.
Yeah.
Plus, it's priced well, I think.
Yeah, definitely. The discount is really nice. Because you're getting a $4 discount off of buying the two. So that's buy one get one half off, which is actually a really good discount. And for all the characters that you're getting, you're getting Link, and that's the only one I remember. Who else are you getting?
Let me see. I won't remember each pack, but there's Link. There's Peach in the cat suit from Super Mario 3D World.
Okay. You're getting one of Bowser's kids too.
Dry Bones Bowser. No, it's Bowser, but only skeleton Bowser. I think the Isabelle from Animal Crossing, the Villager from Animal Crossing. Hopefully they'll, like Smash Brothers, they'll be able to do the various guy and girl villagers. And Tanuki Suit Mario.
Okay.
I remembered. The interesting thing is, in the first pack, they show a screenshot of a track which looks like Mute City from F-Zero, and they also show Luigi driving. I'm sorry, each pack also comes with like 3 or 4 new vehicles too. One of which is the Blue Falcon from F-Zero, but no Captain Falcon as a driver. That's where you get to stay. Falcon snub. I complained about this on Twitter and on my Facebook, pointed it out. It's just kind of weird that we get an F-Zero track and F-Zero car, but not the F-Zero character.
Yeah.
Kind of weird.
Well, it's I wasn't even aware that F-Zero had characters.
Yeah, they do.
I learned this past week that Captain Falcon was an F-Zero character. I knew about Captain Falcon in Smash Brothers forever. I just never knew where he came from. Apparently.
Yeah, his rival
F-Zero has characters.
No, not Baron. It's Samurai Go North. Something. I forget his name.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are characters, but Captain Falcon's pretty much the only character anyone really knows, and I would say that's mostly because of Smash Brothers.
Probably.
So, someone in the Game Politics Shoutbox, and I forget who it was, but earlier this week pointed out that had Nintendo called this the Mario Kart 8 Season Pass, they might have the reaction might have been not as nice. And I agree with that. I think Season Pass has kind of become a dirty word, and rightfully so. I think the things that Nintendo are doing very well is they're showing you up front exactly what you're paying for. A lot of Season Passes are, Season Pass, $12.99, $20.99, $24.99, whatever. And it's like, great. What do we get? Whatever we release, if we decide to release anything, you'll get it, And it could be like one multiplayer map. But Nintendo's actually saying, look, there's 2 packs. There's characters, tracks, and carts in each one. We're not going to we're still leaving a few secrets to make it fun to drip out over time. Which tracks and which carts. I think they've only revealed like 1 new cart per pack. But and I think that's cool. Enough to give you an idea of what's in the pack, so you know what you're buying.
It definitely makes you wonder what they have in store for Smash Brothers. If they're doing DLC packs for for Mario Kart, you'd think they'd do the same thing for Smash Brothers too. Yeah.
More difficult to do with Smash Brothers because with any fighting game really, because you really have to worry about when you add a new character, you really have to worry about how well it balances with the rest of the roster. But yeah, I could see it's actually interesting because DLC is somewhat new to Nintendo, but it's like, wow, Nintendo just kind of jumped in with both feet and is doing this okay. Because usually it's like, put the toe in the water, and it's been like towing the waters of online stuff for nearly 10 years. And it's like, would you jump in? But it seems
Yeah.
to be doing the DLC okay. So it's a promising start, I think. So
Definitely.
long answer shorter. I think the new DLC packs for Mario Kart 8 are aces.
Yeah, I agree. I like how they're doing it. So.
Yeah. So, okay, let us get to the first topic, which is the poll for this week. Let me see if anyone new has voted. No. So let me close the poll real quick. The poll asks, how do you feel about Amazon buying Twitch? Yes, we were all so certain that it was Google because it was actually reported in some places that Google, had pretty much signed on the dotted line to buy to buy Twitch, the video streaming service, for about $1 billion. But no, Amazon just said, nope, we bagged that bird for $970 million. So Amazon now owns Twitch and says, we're not going to do anything with it. We're going to let it be, and let it grow, and let it do its thing. And I'm like, sure, yeah. So, you have to wonder. It's like, well, if you're not going to do anything with it, why did you buy it? But
Yeah.
I hope something changes. Well, hopefully Twitch, which is apparently independent to do its own thing, does make improvements because Twitch can sometimes suck hard.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, I think. We'll talk about this in the poll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, how do you feel about Amazon buying Twitch? The options were here are the responses from our 301 people who voted. 7% said, I think it's awesome. 24% said, well, better Amazon than Google. 5% said, I'd have preferred Google. 29% said, I wish Twitch had stayed independent. And the winning vote at 35%, 104 people said, I don't much care.
Yeah.
Me, I think I voted for I don't much care, because I don't. I mean, I do use Twitch. We did it for the first 4 episodes of Super Podcast Action Committee when we switched to a live show, and it didn't work very well. We were just cursed with technical problems all the way. And I also, for those of you who've been asking, yes, I will be doing the Extra Life Charity Marathon again this year, and that will stream on Twitch, as long as it doesn't crash or something. So I use it for that. It's a great service. It's just, you got to be kind of committed to get it to work, and sometimes it's still not going to work for you. But, yeah, I don't have a problem with Amazon buying Twitch. Google buying Twitch, I was like, Google has a tendency to make everything overcomplicated. It tries to improve stuff. It legitimately tries to make things better and then just ends up making it worse, which is something I didn't really think Twitch could survive.
Yeah.
There have been talks that Google backed out because they were afraid they might get hit with a bunch of antitrust suits, for almost monopolizing, having no competition. So I think it's nice that Amazon picked them up to have real, healthy competition, because Google and Amazon are both huge, and having them compete against each other in somewhat similar space is very healthy for everyone, because that's going to force both of them to try and one-up each other, and we all benefit when the companies do that. So, do you remember how you voted for this one?
I voted. I think it's awesome, and just because I honestly don't think that Twitch would have survived much longer on its own. Just primarily based on the content ID system it set up. That that seems to be in response to some threatening letters and phone calls from the RIAA and stuff, and without any kind of capital and support from an experienced company, I don't think they would have survived an onslaught of lawsuits from the RIAA and the MPAA and anybody else that decides they want to sue Twitch. Even though Twitch really isn't in the wrong, like they have safe harbor protections which are outlined in the DMCA and everything. So, they really, any lawsuit against them wouldn't have survived, or like it would have been they would have won every single one, but because the copyright industries have much larger war chests, they would have just kept up going and going and going until Twitch had to go bankrupt. So I don't think that Twitch would have survived on its own. I didn't really like the idea of Google getting them, mainly because Google themselves have basically ceded everything copyright to the MPAA and the RIAA. Mm-hmm. And that would have been pushed onto Twitch had Google bought them, even worse than what Twitch has done on their own. So I think Amazon being the company it is, I think they are really they're the modern Google. Google came out first, got really big, really popular, has lots of stuff, and then Amazon came along, and now they're really big, they're really popular. But I think Amazon is probably the better company of the two, and if one of them had to get it, I would have preferred Amazon. I can't think of any other company that could have bought them that would do as good of a job at building Twitch up and making it better than Amazon would. So I think it's pretty great. I think Amazon is going to give them the infrastructure and the capital they need to not only survive but to thrive. So, so I definitely think it's a good deal that they got bought by Amazon.
If Facebook hadn't have spent $1 billion on Oculus Rift, maybe it would have picked up Twitch.
I wouldn't have. I wouldn't have liked Facebook to get them, because really Facebook isn't profitable. All the money they make is basically just selling stock in their company. They don't have a revenue stream outside of their stock, which is kind of sad when you think about it. Or at least not they do make money off of advertisement and stuff like that, but it's just a drop in the bucket compared to their stock sales. So
they tried selling our personal information to the NSA, but the NSA said, "Nah, it's okay. We already have it."
Yeah. So, but I definitely wouldn't have liked Facebook to get them.
How about Electronic Arts? What if Electronic Arts had bought Twitch? How long before they completely shuttered Twitch? 2 years? Nestor says GameStop. What if GameStop had bought Twitch? Actually, I could kind of see them trying that. I don't know if GameStop actually has the capital to purchase it. But
no, because they bought
some peer-to-peer service thing at one point, didn't they?
I don't know. I know they bought golly, I forget what the service is called now, but Stardocs. They bought their digital distribution service.
Yeah.
And they haven't really done much with it at all.
Yeah. Like we can barely remember what the hell it is. So
yeah. So GameStop, I think they're an old school dinosaur trying to survive in a new world, and they're just not really doing very good at adapting outside of their core competency, which is brick and mortar sales. So
yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you everyone for voting. Looks like we actually got a topic that interested a few more people this week. Hopefully, whatever poll we come up with next week grabs your attention too. Although next week's poll might be about the new 3DS, which we're going to talk about now. So, Nintendo's surprising everyone, except those who already knew about it, which is a really dumb joke I made in the article I wrote up. And did everyone catch the Pokemon joke with how I titled the article? What? Nintendo 3DS is evolving? It's a Pokemon joke. I saw that. Because I'm a video game dork. And I don't even play Pokemon. Anyway, so Nintendo had a Nintendo Direct very early Friday morning, which was probably not very early in the morning for folks in Japan, but was for us. I didn't even realize it was coming because I went to bed early because I had a really horrible headache Thursday night, which I know you are all incredibly interested in hearing about. But in addition to saying yes, Shulk from Xenoblade Chronicles is a fighter in Smash Brothers, and a little bit of other news, they announced that they have a new model of 3DS coming out, appropriately called the new 3DS. So what's new about it? A surprising amount, actually. It's so far it's only been announced for Japan. It comes out in Japan on October 11th, and it will come out in the rest of the world not this year.
Yeah, Nintendo Europe said next year.
Yeah, Europe said 2015 sometime. America hasn't said, but we assume probably sometime in 2015 also. Yeah. So the new 3DS, which comes in standard and XL varieties, will cost 16,000 yen or 18,800 yen, respectively, which is about $150 and $180. So not bad prices. So what's new? Okay, you get a faster processor, which speeds up web browsing and downloading software. It has been rumored, mind you, but not confirmed, that they've also upped the memory in the system. Nintendo's not confirmed this. It was something I saw on NeoGAF somewhere. But some homebrew hacker folks have been pawing around with stuff, and they said, looks like they might have doubled or even quadrupled some of the RAM in the new 3DS. Maybe. A wider 3D viewing angle. So, you know when you have the, your 3DS open and you have to look at it pretty much straight on, and if you turn it a bit, it gets all fuzzy. This one this one will have a wider angle, so you can do this, and it will still look okay. Let's see what else. You get a small nub. Here's the 3DS. There's a over the buttons here. There's a little nub here, which is kind of like a C stick for the right side. You also get 2 extra trigger buttons on the back. Right. Here's one trigger. They put one right here. Trigger, and they put one right here, which actually seems to me kind of awkward. Like you'd be touching one with the tip and then hitting one with kind of the inside of your joint, but you probably make it work. There is an automated process that adjusts the screen's brightness depending on ambient light. Neat. It has a built-in NFC reader, which is well, I don't need to demo that. It's right under the touchscreen. So if you buy an Amiibo, instead of using the dongle that the old model 3DS, 3DS XL, and 2DS will use, you can just set the Amiibo right on the screen, and the NFC readers under it won't read it. It also boasts better battery life. How much better battery life? An hour, maybe 30 to 60 minutes, depending on which unit.
Well, and you also have to consider the fact that the faster processor and the viewing angle and stuff for the screen, those are going to use a lot more power than the current 3DS. So yeah, you're actually getting if it were possible to swap the batteries out, you'd probably get like an extra 2 hours or maybe 3 hours on your regular 3DS.
Interestingly, the new 3DS is a little bit, case-wise, is a little bit bigger and a little bit heavier than the regular 3DS. And the new 3DS LL or XL is a little bit smaller and lighter than the 3DS XL. Kind of interesting. The internet browser, which can now play videos, will come with internet filters enabled to keep kids from accessing porn, which apparently 8% of the console traffic or something that goes to Pornhub.com is from the 3DS or some weird number like that. It's like, who's browsing porn on a handheld? Why?
Yeah.
Anyway,
don't know anything about eye tracking tech. Nestor Lark asked about that. I haven't heard anything about eye tracking.
I wasn't even. Yes, it had. That's the angle viewing thing. Apparently, the way Nintendo described it, or at least the best I could infer, because my Japanese ain't too good, is the camera tracks where your head is to angle the left eye, right eye slats, so that if you're looking at it from the side, it can track where your head is and put the left eye and right eye in the right place. That's how it gets the better viewing angles with head tracking.
So they're really working those cameras then. Cameras.
And you still get maybe 30 extra minutes of battery life out of it. So hey.
Yeah.
But anyway, this internet filter that's automatically on, you can turn it off for 30 yen, which is about a quarter. You just have to register a valid credit card to turn it off.
Yeah, it'll probably be 50 cents when it comes to the U.S., but yeah.
Yep. Also, it was announced that a port of 2010's Xenoblade Chronicles, boy, I hope I got the year right, I think it was 2010, Xenoblade Chronicles
sounds right.
Will be an exclusive new 3DS title. In other words, it will not run on the it will not run on the 3DS, the 3DS XL, or the 2DS. There's also no mention of a new 2DS. So that's about it.
Yeah.
So thoughts?
My initial thought was the faster processor and the extra shoulder buttons and the C stick, the analog stick. My initial thought was that we're gonna see a fracturing of sorts of the 3DS market, because there's like 44 million 3DSs loose in the wild right now.
June 30th, was it June 30th? I think was the close of the quarter. Yeah, I think it's 44 million.
Yeah, that's a lot of 3DSs that aren't going to be able to play Xenoblade Chronicles and whatever other games take advantage of the faster processor and the extra buttons in the stick. And yeah, there is a there is an attachment for the 3DS that gives you that second stick.
Yeah, the Circle Pad Pro has both a second stick and 2 extra trigger buttons. So
yeah, but the question is, how many people actually have those?
Well, I don't know. I think it's $20 or something like that. So if there are games that make use of the second stick, and Nintendo talked about them. There's a Final Fantasy game, there's the Dragon's Quest X, and Monster Hunter 4G, which is 4 Ultimate for us, actually uses the extra buttons and the sticks. So instead of paying $150 or $180 for a new model 3DS, I could have just said for a new 3DS, because it's literally what it's called. Lovely name, Nintendo. Well done on that. That's not going to be confusing to anybody at all.
No, not at all.
You could spend $20 or possibly $30 for the Circle Pad Pro. So far, Xenoblade Chronicles, these 3 games, you can still play on the old hardware. Xenoblade Chronicles is the only one that won't run on the old hardware. So it'll be interesting to see how many exclusives the new 3DS actually ends up with. It could be the case where, we were talking about this a little bit before the show, but the Game Boy Color, which I tend to look at more as a redesign or new model of the Game Boy rather than a true successor to the Game Boy. I feel the Game Boy Advance is actually the successor to the Game Boy. But the Game Boy Color did have a good number of exclusive titles. There was a Mario Brothers Deluxe. There was a there was Mario Brothers Deluxe.
Link's Awakening Deluxe.
The Oracle Ages, the 2 Zelda games, I think, were only for Game Boy Color too. There were probably maybe a dozen or 2. There were a few.
I think there was a couple of Pokemon games, weren't there, that came out for the Game Boy Color?
I don't know if they were exclusive.
I think it was Red and
but
Green,
there were a good number of Game Boy Color games. But if you look at other things that could split the market, like the N64 expansion pack, there were a few dozen games that actually used the N64 expansion pack, like Hybrid Heaven, I think, enables a widescreen mode if you have the expansion pack. But there were only 3 games that actually required it: Donkey Kong 64, Perfect Dark, and Majora's Mask. The DSi.
Donkey Kong 64. The funny thing with Donkey Kong 64 is that it only needed it to fix a game-breaking bug.
that true? I don't know that.
Yeah, well, according to this video that I watched, it was just a video series that I saw on YouTube, and I was watching a few of them. He said that they talked about Donkey Kong Country or Donkey Kong 64, and said that that it required the expansion pack because there was a game-breaking bug that they couldn't figure out how to fix, other than to put the expansion pack in. And that got rid of the bug, and so they just packaged the expansion pack with the game when they sold it. So
Interesting.
yeah,
Huh.
very interesting.
Like kind of rings a bell, but it's something I guess I forgot. The Nintendo the DSi, which was a new model of the DS, added a camera and the whole Internet eShop thing. And there were a grand total of, I think, 4 games exclusive to the Nintendo DSi. If you ignore the 200 DSiWare games, there were only 4 exclusive games. So it wasn't really, the DSi was not really a new console. It was another DS.
Yeah,
it really all depends on how you look at it. So with the new DS, it's really what is going to happen. Is it going to be, is the new 3DS going to be kind of like the DSi and the expansion pack, where you will have a handful of games that utilize the new features in an optional sense? Or is it going to be something that only 1 or 2 games actually use and it's going to be otherwise ignored? Or is it going to actually have a ton of only 4 new 3DS games? And I don't know. As of now, we really don't know.
As of now, we only know of 1 exclusive, and I think if Nintendo actually, did a lot of work to sell the C-Pad Pro or whatever you called it,
Circle Pad Pro,
or Circle Pad Pro, if they took the effort to push that at the same time as the release of the new 3DS, that could mitigate a lot of the issues, I think.
Yeah, because you can match the functionality of the 3DS, new 3DS, with whatever the little dongle that is used for NFC reading ends up being called, and the Circle Pad Pro. So
so they would really need to push those.
You can put little add-ons on your 3DS to play everything except Xenoblade Chronicles and any other strictly exclusive title.
Yeah.
Or you could, sell yours and pay $150, $180 for a new 3DS, which has honestly a bunch of really cool new features.
It's just the processing
is really pokey.
Yeah.
So I'm actually kind of happy for that extra processing power, because wow, is eShop kind of slow.
Yeah, but the processor is what's going to be the sticking point, I think, because if games are allowed to utilize the faster processor, then those games are going, if they even work on the 3DS, are going to run like crap, unless the developers take an effort to have a new 3DS mode and a 3DS mode that's automatically detected, which I don't see a lot of developers doing because they're lazy and they don't do things like that. But yeah, I think this one has more of a potential to fracture the market than the DSi did, or it could be a similar case to the Game Boy Color, in its impact on the market, I think.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree, because the upgrades to the biggest upgrade, the most notable upgrade to the DSi was the camera, and the system did have more memory, I believe, but I think it had the same processor. Not sure, I'd have to look that up, but all the DSi exclusive cartridge games were games that utilized the camera. There was a game that was like, practice different facial expressions. Raise your eyebrow. Turn down your lips. Ooh, weird game.
Well, and you also had the fact that there were certain DS games that you couldn't play on the DSi too, because they used
because they got rid of the Game Boy Advance cartridge slot. Right.
Yeah, because Guitar Hero used the Game Boy Advance slot to put the 4-color buttons on the system.
Yeah.
And then I think there was just like a couple others. There was hardly any games that utilize the.
Yeah, but you are right. New 3DS does have the potential to fragment the market. On the other hand, I know a lot of people who are perfectly okay with constantly. I know a lot of people who bought the 3DS and then just happily upgraded to the 3DS XL. And I think that has to do with handhelds are under $200, so a lot of people are just like, oh, I'll get the new model. That's cool. So,
that could happen. Yeah.
It depends on how well the 3DS really sells, and it may be an attractive buy. But if you end up with, if they only sell 10 million new 3DSs this Christmas, they may end up by the end of the fiscal year, 70 million 3DSs worldwide, but 60 million of them are 2DS, 3DS, and 3DS XL, and the other 10 million are new 3DS. That's going to make it really hard to justify making a only for new 3DS game.
Yeah.
So, it really all depends on how Nintendo markets this thing and how receptive people are and how confused they are at retail this Christmas.
Because I know with the iPhone, developers will often develop their game with 2 versions of the iPhone back in mind. Like they don't. The vast majority of them do not develop for the new model iPhone when it's released, because that severely limits your market. Because given 2 years, that's enough time for somebody to, their phone contract to expire and get a new contract with a new phone, and so 2 years or 2 models back is generally what they do. So I could see a lot of developers just say, well, we'll go ahead and do the extra buttons as optional, but we'll have touchpad controls for alternatives for these for those who don't have the extra buttons. But a lot of them will probably be wary to take advantage of the faster processor if they're allowed to, just because that cuts out a large audience. So, but yeah, we'll have to see what happens at the end of this year and into next year.
Nestor asks, how often do people upgrade their smartphones? Every time a new model comes out? I have no idea. I know people who bought who have like an iPhone 2 or something and still have it, and I know other people who will buy the new model every single year. So
yeah, there are a lot of people who will upgrade every year because they can and because Apple convinces them to. Personally, like me, I haven't upgraded my phone ever. Like we got an old clunky Samsung Conquer when we first got our smartphones, and then that's what I had for 2 years. My contract expired, so we transferred my phone to a different contract, and now I'm stuck on an iPhone 4, which I'll probably have for 2 years, and then at that point get some decent Android phone again, because I hate this iPhone. This thing's terrible. But yeah. So it all depends. It varies from person to person, but I would say probably the same percentage of the market for the 3DS will upgrade to the new 3DS as from iPhone to iPhone every year, which will be a sizable market, but probably not everybody.
Last comment on this topic, I think, Lyrical One asks or points out that Nintendo may stop production on the old model 3DSs next year and just have new ones on sale. Possibly, but that's really going to depend on when they come out in Europe and North America. If the other territory launches are this fiscal year, they might stop production as soon as the end of next calendar year. But I don't see them just full halting productions and saying it's new 3DS or nothing, buddy.
Well, isn't the if the new 3DS is going to be 150, the current 3DS model is 129, right? something like that.
Something like that. I bought the my 3DS XL for 150 on Black Friday, so I think it still. The 2DS I see on sale usually for like sometimes I see deals for $99. I think it's 129. The 2DS is. So I'm guessing that the 3DS is about 150 and the DSXL is 3DS XL is 180. So again, it also depends on what they do with the older models. If they're going to keep them at the same price or shift them down, or
well, they would have to discount them from the new 3DS because that would just be really confusing.
But you also wonder, if they really discount the original 3DS, 2DS, 3DS, 3DS XL. People might go, holy crap, look at the great deal. There's nothing that uses a second stick or extra triggers that I really, really need, so I'll just, pick up a 3DS XL for 129 or something like that.
Yeah.
Delirical says 2DS is 130 right now, so yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
All right. New topic, because Lord knows I could ramble on about Nintendo forever.
Oh, yeah. We're running close to an hour already, so.
Yeah, sorry. At least I was honest in the video description this time. Since, we try to keep it to an hour, but we usually fail. So, all right, Leland Yee, who best known to us game politics folks is the guy who authored the California law that would try to restrict the sales of violent video games to children, got rejected by every court that saw it, went to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court said no, and all was right with the world, and nothing bad ever happened again. Justin Bieber was a paragon of virtue and morals. Dogs and cats got along. It was great. Anyway, so earlier this year, Leland Yee and a bunch of other people were arrested for, well, a lot of things. Leland Yee specifically was arrested for corruption, bribery, and allegedly trying to broker an arms deal. Now, the person that which if you read the whole affidavit, which I did, and it reads like a script to something like American Hustle, I kid you not. The second contact he had to broker a guns deal was what was his name? Wilson Lim, who is a guy who runs a dental practice out of Daly City, California, about 60 years old. And so he was another person who was arrested earlier this year, and he died this week. He was in the hospital and died of let's see, some type of gastric failure.
Failure or something like that.
Let me open the actual congestive heart failure, renal failure, and liver failure. So he's been in the hospital since June. He was arrested back in March and died somewhere around 60 years old. So don't have much to say about that except, well, that's always a shame when someone dies. But I mean, unless he was really a horrible, evil person, which we don't know and isn't until proven guilty. But
yeah.
Wow. Some folks have said, "Oh, yeah, because this whole case involves the Chinese mafia." It's like someone put a hit out on Wilson Yim. They're trying to silence these people. I think some people actually say, "Yeah, Leland Yee probably snuck into his bedroom and smothered him with a pillow." It's like he died of congestive heart failure because he wasn't shot in the head. No one snuck him out.
No.
So,
well, it just the type of what he died of, I guess. I'm sure there's some kind of drug that could have been given to him that would have caused those things. But yeah, it's just it's a very interesting coincidence. I'm sure the FBI is looking into his death and double checking the autopsy and blood tests and all that stuff, see if they could find anything. But yeah, I don't know how integral to the case this guy is. He seems to be a fairly important person because I guess he was the messenger. One guy shows up to get his teeth cleaned, hands him some information, 2 hours a day later or whatever, somebody else comes in to get their teeth cleaned, he gives them the information, or something like that. I'm sure that's probably what his involvement is. If that's the case, so yeah, it just all depends on how integral he is. Will determine what the impact on the overall case is. But I think the FBI had a pretty solid case to begin with, and they probably weren't hinging on a single person to seal it.
I mean, unless the stuff in the affidavit is completely made up, and it sounds like transcriptions of actual recordings. The only thing I see kind of shutting this thing down is if they didn't have some type of warrant or legal permission to actually make the recordings. If there's some technicality just screwing the whole thing up, which I could totally see happening, but yeah.
Probably, yeah.
So that was that. Moving on. Good old games. Oh, good old games. They're trying something new. They are now offering DRM-free movies. They are starting out with 21 movies. Not a single one of them is from Hollywood.
No,
I wonder why. Could it have something to do with the fact that they're DRM-free? And Hollywood said, no, we'll pass. Based
on their comments, they seem to, what I've read is that, they didn't name any names, but they had a lot of people express interest. They're like, yeah, we know that DRM doesn't work, and we'd love to get rid of it, but they don't name any names, so we don't know who these people are, where they work, or what movies they own. But yeah, definitely interesting that they're all indie films right now, which is actually probably the best the best thing for this service right now, because a lot of people don't know where to find all these indie films.
Yeah, you have, and they're all gaming and internet culture related. You've got Indie Game the movie.
You got Playing Columbine. Let's see, any other ones that I actually recognize?
Well, I don't recognize any of the Indie Game the movie special edition. Minecraft: The Story of Mojang Deluxe Edition. Okay, Gamer Age. Please subscribe. Rewind This. The 99%. Occupy Everywhere. Space Invaders: In Search of Lost Time. The Startup Kids. A lot of stuff. Mostly. Oh, Bronies. The Extremely Unexpected Adult Fans of My Little Pony. That I've heard of. Yeah. So there are currently 21 movies available. They're all on sale now, ranging from all of them are $6 except the special edition of Indie Game the movie, which is $7.49. They are actually all of them are normally $6, except for 4 of them, which are normally $10, and one of them, Indie Game the movie special edition, which is $15. So most of them are $6. That's not too bad for a movie.
No, not too bad at all. One thing I'd like to see out of this, if GOG is really serious about it, South by Southwest is probably a good place to market their services, because there's a lot of indie films that get introduced in that. Several other film festivals too. But yeah, definitely the indie film industry is probably their best bet at getting a large library, because honestly there's a lot of indie films I would like to watch that I have absolutely no clue where to find them. I read about them on sites like IO9 and other stuff, but other than hearing, oh, they finally released it on Netflix, it's like I have no clue where to find them, and I would love to just say, hey, I'll pay $6 to buy this movie on GOG. That would be awesome.
Yeah. Although Delirical One points out that a bunch of them are probably free to watch on Netflix and Hulu, and that's true. Except you'd have to watch something on Hulu, and who wants to do that? Nestor says, I can see a lot of public domain movies coming to Good Old Games, but I don't think we'll see Tron anytime soon. Yeah, I don't think you'll see a lot of big Hollywood films on Good Old Games for quite some time.
No.
This is going to take a lot of work.
Hollywood's
they're going to have to really prove
that's
that this is a successful model.
Hollywood is the industry that's still into things like Ultraviolet and I forget the other service of Voodoo. That's the other service that I know of. But yeah, these are very, very, very DRM heavy services that really suck because one, the selection is terrible, and two, the service is terrible. So you don't really get much out of it.
Yeah, Nestor points out that technically Netflix is not free. You do have to pay a subscription to watch it. These movies may be on Netflix, but you are paying for them. Good point. Mm-hmm. And to answer your question, no, I don't know if anything is outside of Netflix's paywall. I don't know if they have any trial.
No, Netflix doesn't have any. Other than their 2-week free trial for people who've never been members, there's no free stuff there.
Yeah, Hulu, on the other hand, sucks just as bad outside the paywall as it does inside the paywall, which is awesome because
I think
exactly
you should say that
what
the other way around. The inside the paywall sucks just as bad as the outside of the paywall, but only the selection is larger.
Yeah, I'm just talking about the service of Hulu, which I can't stand because I can get the commercials to load. The commercials load flawlessly every time. But then the movie won't load. And I have to reload the page. And the commercial loads again. I sit through 30, 60 minutes of commercials, and the movie won't load. And I got to reset the page, and the commercial loads again. Oh, love it.
Yeah,
and another thing that I was really surprised is, this Hulu Plus, the subscription Hulu service, still has commercials.
Yeah.
What am I paying for?
Exactly.
So, I'm not a fan of Hulu.
Yeah, I have the exact same problem you have, and I haven't watched anything on Hulu in months because of that very reason. It's like, and there's, at first I thought it was a problem with Linux. It's like, oh, maybe they just don't quite know how to handle a stream on Linux. But no, it happens on my wife's computer. It happens on my work computer. Both of them are Windows boxes, and so it's like, okay, so screw Hulu. So, but yeah. But yeah, definitely, I'm looking forward to seeing how they expand their GOG expands their movie service, because definitely some interesting stuff.
I think it's going to start small. I think we'll probably see some of the smaller independent labels, the names of which I can't remember, but in the old days it would have been like maybe TriStar, not Touchstone Pictures or Orion, or some of the smaller offshoots of the larger companies might try putting some of their movies. I could even see New Line Cinema actually doing some of their stuff, or Twisted Pictures, or one of them. You're paying for slightly fewer commercials on Hulu? Really?
No,
not in my experience. It's the same amount, and it's the same 4 commercials.
Yeah, we had a pay subscription for Hulu at one point because my wife wanted access to some of the older movies or older TV shows that they had, and yeah, I didn't notice a difference in the number of commercials or the type of commercials. All that was different was a larger selection of stuff to watch. Mm-hmm. But the other sucky thing is that series that only showed the most recent 5 episodes. Mm-hmm. That's still all you got on Hulu Plus. They didn't go back any further than that. If it depends on the series,
but
yeah.
A lot of when I tried Hulu Plus, a lot of the series didn't have like the first season. Because I was going to check out Bob's Burgers because people keep raving about that show, and can't stand the art style, but I was willing to give it a try. But I'm not starting with season 4 or whatever it started with. So the only thing I've used Hulu for is watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Cosmos. That's about it.
Yeah.
So, and a few of the Riff Tracks full movies. So, but yeah, Good Old Games. They've also redesigned their website, and it's fine. I haven't looked at it too closely, but
I don't know. I haven't really noticed much of a difference, but okay. Well, I guess I do see some difference here, but it's not too bad.
Yeah. Quick hello to Rocker Hippie and Tony Cannon. for the folks watching on YouTube. Sorry, I don't refresh the page often, so I don't see your comments. But if you guys want to hang out in the chat, come on over to GamePolitics.com. Or, yeah, hang out on my YouTube channel, because...
before we move on from GOG, though, GOG has their last chance sale. These are a bunch of games that they're not going to have anymore. I'm definitely going to get Freedom Force versus the Third Reich. But if anybody out there has any recommendations for any other games on that list that I should check out, let me know, because I like good games. So, yeah.
Do you like good old games?
Oh yeah, I like good old games too.
Right. Okay, yeah, we're over time, but we'll plow through the rest anyway. So, okay, Microsoft has revealed that it will be selling the Kinect all by itself with a video game for $150. The new Dance Central game, which is one of the only, arguably the only games we're playing using a Kinect. So it's bundling the new Dance Central game with the standalone Kinect. All told, $150. Zachary Knight, is that too much money?
For $150, yeah, I would probably say it is, because they shaved $100 off of the Xbox One when they removed the Kinect. I don't see a lot of people saying, "Ooh, $150! Let's go and buy that and a $400 Xbox One," unless they really, really, really want Dance Central. But
I find it kind of I'm kind of torn about this because it's essentially, well, we're not giving you a discount on the Kinect. We all kind of suspected that it would be the $100. They weren't going to sell us the Kinect for like $50 or $60. It would be $100. But they're bundling a game in, and it's not even like $129. It's $150. I don't know if Dance Central would normally retail for $50 or $60 or not, but it's like you're buying the Kinect, we're forcing you to buy a game with it. This game, which would normally irritate me, except, well, what other Kinect game would you force me to buy? There really aren't that many.
No, there's not, and there wasn't that many on the Xbox 360 either. I think Dance Central was probably the only really decent game on the Kinect to begin with.
And I've got my suspicions that Kinect doesn't really matter with that game, because I've watched people play it in Fry's, and I'm watching. And I'm like, I don't think it's much more accurate than the Dance Dance.
Is their arm in this big box area that we're watching? Then they got the move right.
Yeah. So, but I mean, it's a game that gets you jumping around and it's fun. So.
Yeah.
So.
I don't like the price, but who am I to judge? I'm not buying an Xbox One anyways.
Sorry, I'm typing. I'm showing off how old I am, actually. So, do you think anyone's actually going to buy the Kinect standalone? Do you think it's going to be kind of I have a sneaky suspicion it's going to be kind of a flop. It's going to be something that
probably
Microsoft just sweeps under the rug, doesn't really mention in financials.
I don't think it's going to do well at all, because frankly, the first generation of Kinect didn't sell very well at all. I think I think it sold well enough to make Microsoft think that they should have gone with the second one, but not well enough that it made it financially feasible to do so. And I don't think people are going to go out of their way to pick this one up. It just doesn't make sense. I think if they're going to buy one, they're going to buy one with the Kinect included, but I don't see a lot of people buying one on its own.
Yeah, I agree. If people actually wanted the Kinect for, I don't know why, but it's a cool idea that doesn't work, but it doesn't work. So, yeah. So, all right, next topic. And actually, last topic, Capcom is suing Koei Tecmo for patent infringement. What patents are they infringing? Well, a slew of them, but apparently it's related. The patents are related to allowing players in a new game to import or unlock content from an older title, and another patent is using controller vibration or controller rumble to alert players of nearby enemies. Now, according to these patents were filed back in 2002, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just going to put this out here. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an expert, but I don't think these patents should have been granted in the first place, because I can think of a lot of examples of games that have been doing both of these things way before that.
Yeah.
We're actually talking about Heroes Quest in the chat room here. Or I'm sorry, it's actually called Quest for Glory now, but it was called Hero Quest back in the day. That game, you could actually, when you got Quest for Glory 2, you could import your save and your character and your stats and stuff from the previous game into the next one, and that happened throughout all, 4 Quest for Glory games? I think there's a lot of games that do that. That is not a new thing.
Baldur's Gate did it. You played through the first Baldur's Gate. Yeah, something like that. And then Baldur's Gate 2 came along, and you could import your characters from the first Baldur's Gate, and you had them at the start of the game, Baldur's Gate 2.
I think some of the Ultima games did that.
Yeah, Ultima games did that. There were. It's not quite the same thing, but the Pokemon games for the original Game Boy had inter-game Pokemon trading. So if you bought Pokemon Red and Pokemon Blue, you could trade Pokemon between them, and that's how you got all the Pokemon between the two. That was the only way to do it, and there was certain evolutions and moves that you could only get in one game or the other, and so there was definitely some type of save unlocking between those two. As the story was going on, one of the games that came to mind was Legend of Zelda: Oracle of the Ages and Oracle of the Seasons, because those had, if you beat one, you could import the save into the other one and unlock new content, and vice versa. And then I realized, no, those are Capcom games that came out a year before this patent was granted, so that's probably part of their justification for the patent. So yeah, but there's definitely a lot of games that use similar features, and I don't think it's really that novel of an idea. Once you had saves that were separated from the game itself, that just seems like it would be in just common knowledge, or a common idea to say, hey, what if we allow people to bring in their old saves or saves from these other games?
Yeah.
And then the Rumble one, that one just makes me laugh, because it's just like, who in their right mind would think that rumbling, rumbling when monsters are nearby was something that novel that it was worthy of a patent? It's just like, Rumble is just one of those things that everybody uses, like Zelda, the N64 Zelda, I forget the name off the top of my head now.
Ocarina of Time.
Ocarina of Time. Yeah, I wanted to say Oracle of Time, but I was like, no, that's not Oracle. But yeah, I know that one used the Rumble Pack to let you know when you could bomb an area. It's like if you walk over ground that you could bomb, it would rumble, or walk by a wall or something.
Not strictly enemies, but yeah.
But yeah, it's just, Rumble was used as an information, a way of informing the player of something that they could do, and alerting them that there were monsters nearby. That's the exact same thing as alerting them that there's a wall you could bomb.
Which we're being asked in the chat, which games from Tecmo Koei are they suing over? The only one mentioned is Samurai Warriors Extreme Legends, but the report mentions that there are also 49 other titles, which could actually be Warriors games, because I think there are about 50 of them. So
Yeah.
no real word on like a list of games or even what all the specific patents are.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, they haven't. There's no patents. They haven't listed any patent numbers yet.
yeah.
Um, once we get an actual court document, we'd probably find all that stuff out.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they haven't announced anything. This is just from Siliconera
Silicon Area.
report, Siliconera report, which is actually a report on a translation of another website. So yeah,
On K. Yeah.
it's on, yeah. So yeah, definitely. This is a 3 steps removed from the original resource, but source. But
And you're
yeah,
getting the 4th step right here, ladies and gentlemen.
yeah. So yeah, but as soon as we get some information about the actual court filings and what the actual patents are, because right now I think the case is being filed in Japan, so I don't know how Japan's patent laws compare to the U.S., but they're probably fairly similar in how they have to be filed and the process and everything. Because one of the things that comes up is about all of this prior art. It's like the thing with patents is that you get a patent on an invention that you think is unique, that you say you created, you're the only one who could have thought of this, and you want to get a patent so you can control its use in the market. And one of the things is, the patent reviewer is supposed to do is look for prior art, and generally that doesn't work because at least here in the U.S., they get thousands of patents a day, and so they don't get a whole lot of time to work on it. And so unless the person submitting the patent provides prior art, they're really not going to find it. Especially
and they would never do that.
Yeah, they would never do that, and especially something as I guess niche as the video game industry is. It would be very difficult for them to do a prior art search on something like that, especially back in 2002, where the internet was very young, and so there wasn't all this information widely available. But yeah, so people have been asking about prior art and how they could have gotten away with getting these patents granted. I'm like, if the person reviewing the patent can't find the prior art, then they're going to assume it doesn't exist. And unless it's actually documented, like in a white paper or an actual game feature on a box or something, or in a manual, they're not going to find that, and so they're just going to assume it doesn't exist. And so that's probably what happened is, the patent reviewer did a quick search through other patents and documents they knew of and couldn't find anything that says make a controller rumble when a monster gets nearby. They say, well, that sounds like it's unique and can be patented, but no, not at all.
Well, at the end of the day, this makes Capcom look like a jerk.
Yeah.
You have to wonder, because everyone, even if it's legitimate, I think a lot of times, there has to be something that's just out and outright theft, I think, for gamers to be on your side if you're suing someone for patent infringement. But in this case, I think, I don't think enough people read this kind of news and care to have any type of bad public or bad public relations, bad press from something like this. So I think Capcom can ride it out just fine without its fans getting all pissy. I mean, I know I look down my nose at you, Capcom. Shame on you. Shame on you.
Yeah. But
I still bought Dual Destinies, but shame on you.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think Capcom's going to suffer much backlash, but they are struggling as a company. Like, they haven't been doing very well financially lately, and a lot of people see this as a last-ditch effort to get some money, which it's always bad when you have to resort to patent infringement suits to stay in the black, because that's never a good sign for any company. So it'll be interesting to see how this affects Capcom, but you know, in general, gamers, like I'm saying this in general. I'm sure there are a lot of gamers out there who don't feel the same way, but in general, gamers look at software patents as something that shouldn't exist, and they just think that Capcom got these patents, and they basically shouldn't have been allowed to file these patents anyways, because some people like to say, oh, it's just patents on math, which I don't agree with, but my thought is these are patents on things that anybody skilled in the art of game design at that time would have done the exact same thing. If that was something they wanted to work, they would have created that, and that's really what we're getting to, because Koei has done the exact same thing, and they probably had no clue that Capcom filed a patent for it. So,
well,
do we still want Nintendo to buy them?
Yeah. Did anyone ever want Nintendo to buy? Do you mean buy the company, or buy enough stock that they're a second party, or purchase its IP?
I don't know. I think
I don't. Well, to answer the exact question, no, I don't think Nintendo should buy Capcom. I don't think it needs Capcom. I think its money right now would be better spent elsewhere than purchasing Capcom. Having said that, I certainly wouldn't mind Nintendo picking up some of Capcom's IP, like
Mega Man.
Because Nintendo's the only one who seems to be doing anything interesting with Mega Man these days. It's like, all right, well, Capcom, if you don't want them anymore, we'll take them.
Yeah. Breath of Fire would be another one. I wouldn't mind.
It's like Ubisoft. There are things about the company I don't like, but I like a lot of their properties.
Yeah, I don't see Nintendo finding any value in buying the full Capcom company, because Capcom already makes some decent exclusives for Nintendo consoles now. Monster Hunter. So I think Nintendo's fine with that relationship. But I'm sure Nintendo would love it if Capcom released a Mega Man exclusive for the Wii U, but Capcom doesn't seem to care about Mega Man anymore.
Well, I mean, the old Mega Man games are hitting the eShop.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they're hitting PSN or Xbox Live. I didn't hear that
I know of. Yeah.
But I do know that the remake of Resident Evil Resident Evil Remake HD is not coming to the Wii U.
Yeah.
I already own the game on the GameCube, so I personally don't need it. But it's always sad. Oh, by the way, we hit 150 games for everything but Wii U. What are we, 19 months into the Wii U's life, and there are 150 games skipping the Wii U. That's actually more games, that's far more games skipping the Wii U than are actually available for the Wii U at retail.
Wow, that's pretty bad.
I might actually do a video kind of celebrating the 150 for everything but Wii U, and share little tidbits like that. Like there's more games skipping the Wii U than actually on the Wii U at retail. Who has the which publisher has the most for everything but Wii U games? It's Electronic Arts.
that was my first thought.
By a fair amount.
Oh man.
I think actually Namco Bandai and Ubisoft, is it Capcom or Ubisoft? Capcom, I think, are tied for second. No, Ubisoft. Ubisoft and Bandai Namco. And
which is really sad, considering Ubisoft is the only developer that's really showing had really shown any support for the Wii U at the beginning.
Well, Zombie U was great. Rayman Legends, even though it ended up on everything else, it was still great. And Yeah, hopefully the Watch Dogs port, which Ubisoft still insists is coming, won't be, missing DLC and um, missing other modes and things like that.
It'll be a cartoon version of Watch Dogs with half the content and a totally different storyline with totally different characters. Just like the Ghostbusters games were for
I was
between the
just
Wii
about
and
to
the.
say it. Although I liked the Wii version of the Ghostbusters game. Well, that was fair because the Wii is a technological generation behind
Yeah,
the
I know.
industry. So that was an interesting way to handle the Wii version of Ghostbusters, and I thought it worked quite well.
Yeah.
So congratulations. Anyone that's interested, number 150 was from Deep Silver. It's Saints Row Gat Out of Hell, the new Saints Row game, which is actually a standalone expansion to Saints Row 4, I think. So, yay. Yeah. So anyway, we're just kind of tooling. We're done with the show. Oh, I wanted to point out, someone recommended Quest for Glory, originally called Hero Quest for You, not part of the games that are being removed, but a good game. I'll vouch for that. I really like the game. Someone also mentioned the board game, which if you look behind me, right under Domino Rally, it's right there, Hero Quest. That is a great board game. That's an awesome game. I love that game. I'd actually had expansion packs for it. I don't own them because by the time I found out about this stuff, this was before the internet, they were out of print. I got a money order and I sent for them and it sent my money back and they're like, we don't make these anymore. I'm like, oh, but I love this game. And I've played through all 20 campaigns or whatever it is. So, okay, so let us sign off. My name's Andrew Eisen, E-I-S-E-N is how you spell the last name. Follow me on Twitter, @AndrewEisen. Like me on Facebook, Andrew Eisen YouTube. And speaking of YouTube, head on over to YouTube, type in Andrew Eisen, and you can watch all my videos. The most recent video I did was probably the last episode of Super Podcast Action Committee, but the last one I did was the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge during a drought, because I live in California and we are in actually a state of emergency. Our drought is so bad. It's like I think the second worst drought in recorded history for California. So ALS Ice Bucket Challenge during a drought. You might laugh, and who doesn't want to do that? So, Zachary, over to you. Plug away.
All right, you can follow me on Twitter at EasyKnight and check out DK_gaming for my game development stuff. That's for DivineKnightGaming.com. And also check out on Twitter OKGameDevs, and it's OKGameDev.com. That's for all the news about the game development scene in Oklahoma. And if you're interested in checking out my Ouya reviews, games on the Ouya, go to Random Tower. That's where you'll find my Toto Temple review, and I'll probably write up something about Towerfall Ascension, and I want to get back in reviewing more games for the Ouya, and that's where those are usually found, so check those out.
All right, that's it for this episode of Super Podcast Action Committee. Thanks very much for hanging out with us this week. You can send us an email at superpackpodcast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter @superpackpodcast. Subscribe and rate us on iTunes and like us on Facebook. We'll see you back here at GamePolitics.com Saturday night at 6 p.m. So have a good week. Vote in the poll whenever that goes up, probably Tuesday or Wednesday, and we'll see you then. Take care.
All right. See ya.